On the day of my mother's funeral, my wife, a CEO, skipped it, using her junior assistant's sick mother as an excuse. I had to go back for the funeral all by myself, but my wife was completely unconcerned. Liam's mother is sick, and her only wish is to see him get married. Are you really going to make a scene about this? She'd said. Just go back by yourself this time. I'll go with you next time. It was only then that I truly understood. My so-called wife wasn't that important to me, and this marriage was just a one-sided fantasy of mine. I knelt before my mother's casket, staying awake until dawn. Rubbing my dry, aching eyes, I opened my iMessage history with Chloe. The funeral is over, I typed. A long time passed with no reply from Chloe. Fortunately, I no longer cared. I immediately contacted a divorce law firm and hired a lawyer to handle the proceedings. It was time to leave Chloe for good. After the funeral, I packed up my mother's belongings. When I saw a simple, elegant jade bracelet among them, my mind drifted. My mother had told me it was a family heirloom from my grandmother, meant to be passed down to her daughter-in-law. I stared at the bracelet, lost in thought. Just then, a message from Chloe popped up. Honey, I'll be busy with a wedding photo shoot and a family portrait for the next few days, so I won't be home. I didn't reply, just let out a bitter, self-deprecating laugh. How absurd. My own wife was taking wedding photos, but not with me. I carefully wrapped the jade bracelet. Even though it was my mother's wish, I would never let this heirloom, meant only for my wife, fall into Chloe's hands. She didn't deserve it. Late that night, I saw Chloe had posted on Facebook. It was a family portrait with Liam and his parents. The caption was simple, one big happy family. In the photo, Liam's arm was wrapped around her waist. They were gazing at each other, their eyes filled with happiness. I'd almost forgotten Chloe could be so gentle. Or perhaps she always was, but only for the people she truly cared about. After placing my mother's urn in its niche, I got a call from my Aunt Sarah. Ethan, now that your mother is gone, I'm worried about you being all alone in New York. Why don't you come out to California and live with me? I was silent for a long moment before answering with absolute certainty. Okay, really? Oh, that's wonderful news. My aunt's voice was filled with joy. But you've been married for so long. Do you think your wife will be willing to move to California with you? I chuckled grimly. Don't worry about that. We're getting divorced. Before I could hang up, a commotion erupted at the front door. Chloe was back. I glanced towards the entrance but didn't move to greet her like I usually would. Chloe wasn't alone. She walked in with Liam by her side. Our driver, Mr. Henderson, followed them, carrying several bags. Liam himself was holding an enormous bouquet of roses. The vibrant red of the roses was blinding, and a bitter sting filled my nose. She actually had time to buy him roses. In 8 years of marriage, she had never once bought me a flower. She always said men didn't need frivolous things like that. But now I saw the truth. She just never wanted to give them to me. Liam is moving and hasn't found a place yet, so he's going to stay with us for a little while, Chloe announced. She didn't even glance at me, her eyes fixed on Liam as she spoke. Get the guest room next to mine ready. Liam will be staying there. It wasn't a request. It was an order. It was as if we weren't married, and I was just the hired help. A guest was moving in without my consent, yet I was expected to prepare his room. Chloe, I can get it myself, really? We don't need to bother Ethan, Liam said. Liam looked up, radiating a youthful energy that reminded me of myself years ago. Seeing how close they were, I suddenly laughed. It seemed I'd always been an unlucky person. Fate had never been on my side. My own mother, the only family I had left, passed away on my birthday, and the woman I loved so deeply fell for someone else 6 years into our marriage. What's with the sarcastic attitude? Is it really necessary? Liam is just staying for a couple of days. Is that worth getting worked up about? Ethan, you're being so petty. Chloe snapped, noticing the smile on my face. I shook my head. No, it has nothing to do with him. But before I could finish, Liam's eyes welled up. You know what, I should just go. I don't want to cause problems between you two. A storm cloud passed over Chloe's face. You're not going anywhere. She stepped in front of Liam, her voice leaving no room for argument. I make the decisions in this house. Mr. Henderson, take his bags upstairs. The driver looked up, shot me an uneasy glance, and hesitated. Seeing this, Chloe turned to me. Do you have a problem with that? Her eyes were filled with contempt, her voice laced with a threat. I just shook my head again, my voice calm. No problem at all. I'm happy to welcome Liam into our home. No problem? Of course not. What right does a man on his way out have to an opinion? I would make a graceful exit, leave forever, and never look back. My magnanimity seemed to surprise Chloe. She stared at me for a moment, then sneered. Since you're so okay with it, why don't you help Mr. Henderson carry Liam's bags upstairs? She was probably trying to humiliate me for embarrassing her in front of her assistant. My face paled slightly, but I quickly forced a smile. Sure. With that, I turned and started helping Mr. Henderson with the bags. I was being so understanding, so accommodating. Logically, Chloe should have been pleased. But for some reason, watching me carry the luggage upstairs without a word of protest seemed to irritate her even more. The room was ready in no time. As I was about to head downstairs, Liam walked in. Ethan, thank you so much for letting me stay. He grabbed my hand, shaking his head with a dramatic sigh. If it weren't for you and Chloe, I don't know what I would have done. As he held my hand, the back of his was turned up, and a brilliant flash of light caught my eye. On his ring finger, Liam was wearing a ring that looked exactly like my wedding band. No, that wasn't quite right. The diamond on Liam's ring was bigger, brighter, more brilliant. Next to it, my own wedding ring looked like a cheap knockoff. I had already decided to leave, but in that moment, my heart still clenched with an involuntary pang of pain. Was this what they meant by out with the old, in with the new? How cruel. Just then, the doorbell rang. A delivery guy walked in with a massive cake. Wow, who ordered a cake? Liam exclaimed. Chloe, it's not my birthday today. I know your birthday is next week, Chloe replied without looking up. But I did order your cake early. Maybe the bakery got the date wrong. While everyone looked confused, the delivery guy called out, Isn't Ethan here? The cake is for Ethan. It's from your aunt, he continued. She asked me to tell you that she knows today is a difficult day, but she doesn't want you to dwell on your sadness. She's so glad you were born. Happy birthday. The living room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at me. For once, Chloe looked a little guilty. She spoke awkwardly. It's your birthday today? Why didn't you tell me? Liam's birthday wasn't for another week, yet she had already ordered his gift and cake, but she had completely forgotten mine. It made sense. Why bother remembering details about someone you don't care about? Oh right, it is my birthday. I'd forgotten myself, I said, trying to diffuse the tension. I can't believe Aunt Sarah remembered. I'll have to call and thank her, and I'd also ask her to hurry up the arrangements for my move. I wanted to leave as soon as possible. Chloe, that's terrible. How could you forget your own husband's birthday? Liam chimed in, playing the peacemaker. Ethan, don't be mad at her. Oh, for our wedding, Chloe gave me a gift, a really expensive green Rolex Submariner. Why don't you take it? Consider it a birthday present from her. With that, Liam took the valuable watch off his wrist and held it out to me with a smile. Happy birthday, Ethan. As he said, the watch was incredibly valuable, its face studded with rare red diamonds, a symbol of one-of-a-kind love. Too bad that one-of-a-kind love wasn't for me. No, thank you, I said, shaking my head with a polite smile. That's a gift from Chloe to you. I couldn't possibly take it. I won't accept something that isn't mine. I didn't want the watch, and I no longer wanted the woman who gave it. Will you just drop it already? Chloe suddenly exploded. So I was busy with Liam's wedding and I forgot your birthday. It's not a big deal. Why are you making it one? I frowned. I didn't understand what I'd done wrong. I hadn't gotten angry or questioned her. I had been smiling and speaking politely the entire time. Why was she still so unhappy with me? I wasn't being passive-aggressive, I said, lowering my eyes to hide my exhaustion. Chloe, what do you want from me? Should I take the watch? If that's what you want, I'll take it. And with that, I actually took the watch from him and turned to Liam. Thank you for the gift. As the one who wasn't loved, I felt I had been perfectly understanding, cooperative, and had done everything to save Chloe's face. But for some reason, the moment I took the watch, her anger flared even hotter. Ethan, you're being completely irrational. She threw the words at me and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. She was angry when I refused the watch, and she was still angry when I accepted it. That's when I understood. It had nothing to do with the watch. No matter what I did, Chloe would never be satisfied. The one who is loved can do no wrong, and the one who is not is always at fault. The birthday cake from my aunt was huge, but I had no one to share it with. Not wanting to waste her kindness, I forced myself to eat the entire 5-layer cake alone. By the end, I was so full it was painful, and I ended up in the bathroom, throwing it all up. How pathetic. I collapsed onto the bathroom floor, dry heaving and laughing without a sound. When I was a kid, we had no money for birthday cakes. I would just stand outside the bakery, staring through the glass at the cakes I could never have. Now I finally had more cake than I could ever want, and it just made me sick to my stomach. Some things, if you don't get them when you long for them, are meaningless when they finally arrive. That evening, I packed my things and moved out of the master bedroom. Since Chloe had brought her new groom home, it was only right for the ex to make himself scarce. I couldn't share a room with her anymore. It might upset the happy new husband. As I was moving my things, Liam came out of the room next door. He was wearing a pair of my pajama pants, his torso bare, revealing toned abs and a cluster of fresh red marks on his chest. Ethan, don't get the wrong idea, he said. Chloe isn't avoiding the bedroom because of you. She's just still angry. He gently stroked the marks on his chest as he spoke with a smirk. Don't worry, we didn't do anything. We were just playing cards. I smiled back. You don't have to explain. It wouldn't matter if you had. The divorce papers are already drawn up. I'll find a time for Chloe to sign them tomorrow. Ethan, you've really got it all wrong, Liam said, looking down with a wounded expression. Chloe and I cut him off with a smile before he could continue his act. I know, you and Chloe are more than just colleagues. You're very close. And even though this marriage is just for show, you're still newlyweds. You two must have a lot to talk about. So please enjoy your time together. I won't disturb you. With that, I turned and walked away, leaving Liam standing there, watching me with a strange, calculating look in his eyes. Chloe spent the entire night in Liam's room. I wasn't keeping track, but our housekeeper, Maria, pulled me into the garden first thing in the morning to mysteriously deliver this vital intelligence. Ethan, you need to open your eyes, she said. Maria was clearly worried. That pretty boy Liam, it's obvious he's here to steal your wife. You should have seen him last night, walking around with no shirt on. My goodness, I didn't know where to look. I gave a faint smile. You're reading too much into it. Liam and Chloe are just good colleagues. She values him a lot. You shouldn't say bad things about him in the future. Chloe wouldn't like it. Maria stared at me, a strange expression on her face. She hesitated before asking, Ethan, what's gotten into you? I'm fine, I said with a smile. I'm great. The smile felt like a mask plastered onto my face. I would just keep smiling, pushing away all other thoughts. No, something's wrong with you today, Maria insisted. You always used to call her honey or my love. Now you're calling her Chloe, her full name. I lowered my gaze and said nothing. I had always thought honey was our special name for each other, something only I could call her, and it had brought me quiet joy for years. But yesterday, I heard Liam call her honey, and I realized that even that small intimacy was never exclusively mine. Maria, when you work in a house like this, the most important rule is to do your job and keep your opinions to yourself, I said, patting her shoulder gently. From now on, don't say anything negative about Liam. I was leaving soon, and Liam would be taking my place as the man of the house. If she got on his bad side, she would surely pay for it later. After speaking with Maria, I went upstairs, grabbed the divorce papers and went to Chloe's office. She was working at her desk. When she saw me, she snorted. Come to admit you were wrong? I gave a slight nod. If she said I was wrong, then I was wrong. There were only a few days left. I was too tired to argue. See, if you'd just been reasonable from the start, none of this would have happened, Chloe said, her tone sharp. Her expression was cold as she pulled a small, exquisitely wrapped box from her drawer and tossed it onto the desk in front of me. A belated birthday present. Open it. I wanted to say it wasn't necessary, but I knew that would only set her off again. I still needed her to sign the divorce papers, so it was best not to provoke her. I quietly picked up the gift and said nothing. Just then, Chloe's phone rang. I unintentionally glanced at the screen and saw Liam's name. Chloe shot me a look, then pulled a pair of earbuds from her drawer and put them in. The moment she answered the call, her cold expression melted into a soft, tender smile, and her voice became gentle, a tone she never used with me anymore. I slid the divorce papers across the desk. Sign this. Without even looking at them, she scribbled her signature while continuing to laugh and chat with Liam. I frowned, hesitating. Aren't you going to read it? No need, she said impatiently. It's just about the funeral arrangements for your mother, right? You handle it. If there's anything else you need me to sign, just give it to my assistant. And stop blowing up my phone for no reason. Your constant calls last time made me miss several important business calls. I scoffed internally. She probably had no idea my mother was already buried. Mom had terminal brain cancer, and while Chloe had arranged for her to be in the best hospital in the city, her condition had deteriorated daily. Her moments of clarity grew shorter, the periods of confusion longer. Most days, she didn't even know who I was. Her doctor told me we couldn't wait any longer. She needed surgery, or she wouldn't make it through the week. I was frantic. I called Chloe 3 times in a row, and each time she sent me to voicemail. The 4th time, she finally picked up, only to yell at me. What do you want? I'm busy. Stop bothering me. The doctor knew I was married into the Miller family, so he suggested Chloe use her connections to bring in a specialist from Johns Hopkins for a consultation. It would significantly increase the surgery's chance of success. I thanked him and then sat in the hospital hallway, phone in hand, watching the minutes tick by. I waited until 6 p.m., her usual time to leave the office. I called again. No answer. She must be working late, I thought. I'll just wait a little longer. I waited until midnight to try again, but the call wouldn't go through. Took me a moment to understand. She had blocked my number. For the entire next week, Chloe didn't come home. My calls wouldn't connect, and my messages went unanswered. And just like that, my mother missed her window for the surgery. Was Chloe really that busy? So busy that in the same week she blocked me, she had time to stage a wedding for Liam and order his birthday cake? I couldn't let myself think about it any longer. I closed my eyes, steadied my trembling hand, and walked out of her office with the signed papers. Maria prepared a beautiful lunch spread, but Chloe's friend Jessica, who had dropped by, started picking fights before she even sat down. Ethan, you're usually the one who cooks. Why the day off? Jessica was deliberately trying to stir up trouble. Is it because Liam's here now? You think you're too good to cook for him? At her words, Chloe's expression hardened. She stared at me with icy eyes, waiting for my response. The irony was suffocating. As her husband, I didn't even have the right to refuse to cook for her boy toy. The dishes I'm best at are all pretty spicy, I said, keeping my eyes down. Liam prefers milder food. I was afraid he wouldn't like my cooking, so just make something without chili. Jessica retorted, unsatisfied. Jessica, stop it, Liam interjected, playing the mediator. Ethan is older, and he's Chloe's husband. We should be respectful. Besides, I think what Maria made looks delicious. Halfway through his sentence, Liam suddenly winced, clutching his stomach in pain. What's wrong? Chloe gasped, rushing to his side to steady him. Chloe, my stomach, he groaned. It hurts so much. Liam's face was pale as he sagged against Chloe, his features twisted in agony. Chloe frowned. Why would your stomach suddenly hurt like this? Beside them, Jessica's eyes widened in mock realization. She pointed a finger at me. Oh, I know. No wonder you didn't want to cook. You poisoned Liam's food. You have a guilty conscience. That's why you've been avoiding the kitchen all day. The accusation was so absurd I was almost speechless. I haven't set foot in the kitchen all day. How could I have possibly poisoned his food? Just because you weren't in the kitchen doesn't mean you couldn't have paid someone to do it for you, Jessica sneered. When I got here this morning, I saw you and the housekeeper whispering in the garden. I bet you were plotting to poison Liam right then. Good heavens, miss, you can't say such things. Maria cried out, defending herself. I'm just a housekeeper. I would never dare to poison anyone. Then what were you and Ethan whispering about in the garden this morning? Jessica pressed. Maria shot me a helpless look, unsure of what to say. With Chloe and Liam right there, she couldn't very well repeat our morning conversation. Cat, got your tongue? I knew you two were up to no good, Jessica declared triumphantly. Liam, should I call the police for you? She continued, gloating. Poisoning someone's food is practically attempted murder. At the mention of the police, Liam's expression of pain intensified. He clutched Chloe's hand, crying out, Chloe, it hurts so much. Am I going to die? I'm so scared. Seeing Liam in such distress, Chloe lost all composure. She helped him to his feet and rushed towards the door. Get the car. We're going to the hospital now. Before she left, she shot me a venomous glare. I'll deal with you when I get back. Maria was terrified. The woman, in her 50s, was on the verge of tears. Ethan, what are we going to do? I didn't poison the food, I swear. I'm just here to earn a living, to save for my retirement. Why would I commit a crime? I knew Maria hadn't done it, but she had cooked the meal, and unless she pointed the finger at someone else, Chloe would never let it go. When Chloe gets back, I told her calmly, if she questions you, just tell her I made you do it. It's okay, I said. Don't be afraid. Just put all the blame on me. How can I do that? Maria cried, panicked. Ethan, we didn't do anything. We can't just admit to it. I gave a bitter smile. I had learned over the past few days that it didn't matter whether I confessed or not. Chloe had already decided I was guilty. The outcome would be the same either way. In that case, it was better to sacrifice myself to protect her. I didn't want an innocent person to get hurt because of this. Just do as I say, I said, my voice uncharacteristically firm. Don't worry, I have a plan. It'll be fine. They were at the hospital all night, not returning until the early hours of the morning. The moment Chloe walked in, she came for me. Ethan, you're clever, I'll give you that. You knew Liam was allergic to peanuts, so you ground them into a powder and sprinkled it in his soup. Do you have any idea what could have happened? If I hadn't gotten him to the hospital in time, he could have died. Maria already confessed that you put her up to it. Do you have anything to say for yourself? I'm giving you one chance. Why did you do it? I looked up and glanced at Liam, who was lying on the couch looking pale and frail. Ethan, he said weakly, I don't believe you would do this to me. You must have had a reason, right? I smiled. I looked him straight in the eye and spoke calmly. Thank you for your faith in me. I didn't harm you. I have no idea why Maria would lie and say I did. Why don't we call the police? Let them conduct a proper investigation. You may not trust my word, but you can certainly trust the results of a police investigation. After I suggested calling the police, both Liam's and Chloe's reactions were telling. Liam avoided my gaze, while Chloe flew into a rage. Ethan, do you really think I wouldn't call the police because I'm afraid of what would happen to you? Oh, Chloe, I know you would. I answered her silently in my head. But your little lover won't let you. He knows his petty tricks might work on you, but they won't fool the police. How embarrassing would it be if they discovered he put the peanut powder in his own soup? And just as I predicted, Liam spoke up anxiously. Chloe, don't. Ethan is still your husband. You can't send him to jail over me. Besides, I'm fine now, aren't I? And even if you don't care about him, think about the Miller family's reputation. If your husband goes to jail, it'll be a scandal. The company's stock will plummet. Persuaded by Liam, Chloe finally backed down and didn't call the police. But just because there would be no police didn't mean there would be no punishment. Ethan, Liam is kind and doesn't want to press charges, but that doesn't mean you're getting away with this. Chloe called in her bodyguards to restrain me. Her every word was laced with venom. You are going to experience the exact same pain that Liam went through tonight. Bring me the mixture. She had the guards hold my jaw while she forced a vial of some unknown liquid down my throat. It took effect almost immediately. An agonizing pain ripped through my stomach. I collapsed, sweating and convulsing on the floor, the pain so intense I nearly blacked out several times. Chloe stood over me, watching my agony with a cold, detached expression, not even a flicker of emotion on her face. "Hurts, doesn't it?" she said coolly. "That's how much pain Liam was in after he drank the soup you poisoned. Remember this pain," she said. "Maybe it will teach you a lesson." I bit down so hard my gums started to bleed, but I refused to make a sound. "Don't worry, Chloe. I will remember this pain. This is the price of loving you. I've learned my lesson. I won't make that mistake again." The agony lasted for an entire day, only subsiding late that night. I was drenched in a cold sweat, my face pale and bloodless. Meanwhile, Chloe had taken Liam to visit his family in his hometown. She sent me a single text: "Wait for me to get back before you bury your mother." 2 days later, Chloe called again. She told me to pick her up at the train station. I was confused. She had driven when she left, so why was she taking a train back? When I got to the station, I understood. Standing with Chloe and Liam was a large group of their relatives from back home, all chattering loudly. Chloe explained impatiently, "Liam's mother and some of his family are here for a visit. You'll need to help entertain them." I didn't need her to tell me who they were. The same greedy look in their eyes was a perfect match for Liam's. I said nothing, showed no reaction. Liam walked over, a smug look he couldn't hide in his eyes. "Sorry to trouble you, Ethan. Thanks for coming all this way. I told her we could just get a cab, but Chloe insisted you come get us. So embarrassing." He smiled and held out his hand. I stared at him, expressionless, and made no move to shake it. Liam's smile faltered. Chloe's voice was sharp. "Are you blind? Or did you leave your manners at home?" Before I could respond, Liam's mother, a woman with shrewd, calculating eyes, grabbed Chloe's arm. "Chloe, dear, there's only one car? How are all of us supposed to fit?" "I can call an Uber," Chloe offered. But Liam's mother stopped her before she could pull out her phone. "Oh no, we can't have you do that. Just have your driver get his own cab. The car is big enough for the 3 of us." Chloe looked at me, a rare hint of uncertainty in her eyes. I didn't care in the slightest. I tossed the car keys to Liam. "Fine by me." Chloe nodded, satisfied, and gestured at me with her chin. "Well, get to it. Don't keep my family waiting." With that, the 3 of them got in the car and drove off. As they left, I saw the triumphant, arrogant looks on the faces of Liam and his mother. They had no idea that I truly didn't care anymore. By the time I got Liam's relatives settled at their hotel, Chloe was already waiting for me downstairs. "Liam and his mother want to come with me to your mother's funeral," she said as I approached. "They're changing now. Wait in the car. When they're ready, you can drive us all there." "No," I said without a moment's hesitation. "My mother valued her privacy. And besides, they're strangers. It's not appropriate." Chloe was instantly annoyed. "But I already promised them. They were just saying how kind I am. They came all this way. It's a gesture of goodwill. What's the harm in them paying their respects?" "A gesture of goodwill?" I scoffed, more like crocodile tears. I wanted no part of their goodwill. I was about to refuse again when Liam and his mother emerged from the hotel lobby. Liam was dressed appropriately in a black suit with a white flower on his lapel. But when I saw what his mother was wearing, my expression soured. She was wearing a long, bright red dress. She looked like she was going to a party. Was she trying to pay her respects at my mother's funeral? Or was she just trying to provoke me? "You're wearing that to a funeral?" I asked coldly. My cold tone didn't faze her in the slightest. She just rolled her eyes at me, muttered "no taste," and then turned to Chloe. "Chloe, dear, what do you think? Is this outfit okay for today?" Chloe rushed to her side, taking her arm and showering her with compliments. "It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. You should wear colors like this more often, Mom. It makes you look so festive and young." I stared at Chloe, my eyes wide with disbelief. She thought that was appropriate? Without even a glance in my direction, Chloe smiled and helped Liam's mother into the car. When she saw I hadn't moved, she frowned. "What's your problem now?" "I just married her son. The woman wants to wear something cheerful. What's wrong with that? Are you really going to get angry about this?" I looked at her calmly and forced a smile. "You're right. I'm being petty." Ignoring her confused expression, I got into the driver's seat. I knew then that I couldn't hold out any hope for her anymore. There was no room for my mother in her heart. In the car, Chloe seemed to sense my mood. Her expression was complicated, and she tried to speak several times, but I cut her off each time. "It's rush hour. Don't distract me while I'm driving." My cold tone made her flinch, but she finally fell silent. Liam's mother, however, was not pleased. "Chloe, what is wrong with your driver? He has no manners at all. You should fire him." I didn't care. In fact, I almost laughed. Who did she think she was to talk to me like that? Chloe looked embarrassed. "Mom, don't be angry," she said. He speaks without thinking sometimes. Please don't mind him." Liam's mother sighed dramatically. "You've really had it rough all these years, dear. The first time I saw you, I knew you were meant to be a part of our family. I just adore you." She even pretended to wipe away a tear. "Don't cry, Mom," Liam said, patting her arm. "Everything's worked out for the best. Chloe said we'll start trying for a baby soon, give you a grandson." The color drained from Chloe's face. She slapped Liam's leg. "Don't be ridiculous. I have no intention of having a child anytime soon. Liam looked down, but I caught the flash of resentment in his eyes in the rearview mirror. Chloe then added, as if to herself but really for my benefit, I'm at a critical point in my career. I'm not thinking about kids right now. Maybe later. I just nodded calmly. She didn't need to be so anxious with her explanation. In the past, I would have been angry. I would have confronted her. But now I didn't care. Our relationship was over. There was nothing left to care about. When I pulled up to Oakwood Cemetery, Chloe looked surprised. Why are we here? She probably couldn't imagine holding a funeral service at the cemetery itself. Ethan, did you take a wrong turn? I turned off the engine and met her confused gaze in the rearview mirror. No, this is it. Realization seemed to dawn on her, and her face went pale. You mean, yes. I nodded, looking out towards the graves, my voice flat. She's already been buried. It happened while you were busy planning to give Liam a son. Chloe froze. When she snapped out of it, she lunged at me, grabbing my arm with a furious expression. You did this on purpose, didn't you? I told you to postpone the funeral. I shook her off, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Do you think the world revolves around you? Does everything have to be on your schedule? The funeral date was set. Were we supposed to just leave her body out because you couldn't be bothered to show up? Chloe fell silent. Liam's mother couldn't resist chiming in. What was the big rush? A wonderful girl like Chloe was willing to attend her employee's mother's funeral. You should be honored. Instead of being grateful, you blame her. You're so unappreciative. Liam nodded in agreement. Exactly. You're just ungrateful. After everything Chloe does for you, you can't even consider her feelings. My expression remained like stone. I was unmoved. I was always considering Chloe's feelings, but who ever considered mine? Who considered my poor mother? After a long silence, Chloe took a deep breath. Where is her grave? Take me to it. I shook my head. You can go. They can't. I gestured to Liam and his mother in her party dress. Their presence would be a disgrace to her memory. I won't allow it. Liam's mother's face fell, but before she could protest, Chloe cut her off. Fine, just the two of us. I led the way with Chloe following close behind. The entire walk, she peppered me with questions. Why did you hold the funeral without my permission? You could have at least told me. What are people going to think of me, her daughter-in-law? Skipping my own mother-in-law's funeral? Do you want people to talk about me behind my back? When I didn't respond, she couldn't stand it any longer and stepped in front of me, blocking my path. You don't care about me at all anymore, do you? Looking into her furious eyes, I felt nothing. The date of the funeral was set weeks ago. You knew that. Why would I need to send a special invitation? And didn't I text you after it was over? You're the one who didn't reply. What right do you have to question me now? Chloe's expression changed. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through it to check something. I watched as her face flushed, then slowly drained of all color. When she looked up again, her eyes were filled with guilt. I'm sorry. I didn't see your message. I didn't mean to ignore it. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh, cutting off her pathetic excuse. Is that supposed to help now? She's already in the ground. What do you want me to do? Dig her up so you can have a do-over? How can you say that? Chloe cried. Her expression turned to anger. Enough, I said, turning and walking away. You wanted to pay your respects, and I brought you here. But this is the last time. Don't come back. Chloe stood frozen in place. When she recovered, she grabbed my arm, her voice trembling. What do you mean by that? I looked at her, my voice low and steady. Exactly what I said. Her reaction was far more explosive than I'd anticipated. A look of panic crossed her face, and she started shouting. I know what you're thinking. No, I won't let you. So I missed the funeral. I told you why. You're going to leave me over this. I just looked at her calmly. She had already signed the papers. It didn't matter if she agreed or not. You did tell me your reason, but why don't you go ask any random person on the street if they think it's normal for a woman to skip her mother-in-law's funeral to go marry another man? Whose wife are you trying to be? Chloe. Her face was ashen, and she couldn't say a word. It didn't matter. Even without her admission, I knew the truth. In her heart, Liam would always be more important than me. On one hand, there was me, the husband she'd grown tired of after the 7-year itch. On the other, a young, energetic, handsome man. The choice was obvious. I just feel sorry for him, Chloe tried to explain, but her voice lacked any conviction. She had used that line countless times. Every time we fought about Liam, she claimed it was just pity. I remember once I forgot my keys and called her to ask if she could bring them to me. But it was Liam who showed up with a key to our apartment. I often have to pick up files for Ms. Miller, so she gave me a key to make it easier, he'd said with a smirk. You don't mind, do you? A stranger, coming and going from our home as he pleased. What was she thinking? I confronted her about it at her office that day, telling her she shouldn't be giving our key to an outsider. Her reply was a knife to the heart. What do you mean, an outsider? Liam is like a little brother to me. What's wrong with asking him to grab a file or a change of clothes from the apartment? You have such a dirty mind. Stop projecting your insecurities onto others. A dirty mind? It was laughable. She really thought my concerns were just a product of my own dirty mind? After that day, I never mentioned the key again. Even when I saw Liam letting himself into our home, I said nothing. There were countless other incidents just like it. Whenever it came down to a choice between me and Liam, Chloe always chose him. There's nothing going on between us. I just feel sorry for him. Don't you trust me? For a while, those phrases were all I ever heard from her. And with every repetition, I could feel her dismissiveness and her growing impatience with me. In the past, her words would have broken my heart. Now I felt nothing. What happened with my mother's funeral was the final straw. I was just too tired. I didn't want to love her anymore. I looked at Chloe, then calmly turned away. Let's go. Don't waste any more time. Pay your respects and then we're done. She followed me, about to say something else, when a voice from behind us cut her off. Chloe. Liam ran up to us out of breath. My mom got upset and wandered off by herself. We have to go find her. Chloe panicked. How could you let that happen? You couldn't even keep an eye on her? Call 911. We'll search the area. She took a few steps, then paused and turned back to me. Ethan, Liam's mother is elderly. She could be in danger. You go on home. We'll talk tonight. Before I could say a word, she rushed off without a backward glance. Watching them disappear, I laughed bitterly to myself. It was just as I'd expected. I knew she would choose him without a second thought, yet a small part of me had still held out hope. That was my mistake. I walked to my mother's grave and whispered, I'm sorry, Mom. It's my fault. I've decided to divorce Chloe. She doesn't deserve to be your daughter-in-law. I could still remember how, in her final days, the thing she worried about most was my marriage to Chloe. She had urged me again and again to cherish my wife, to always be the one to compromise. I held her hand and promised I would. And now I was about to break that promise. After leaving the cemetery, I went straight to my office, walked into my boss's office, and handed in my resignation. I had wanted to take a position overseas for a while, but Chloe had always been vehemently against it. Now, with my only remaining tie to this place gone, I no longer had to care what anyone else thought. As for Chloe, I couldn't care less. She had signed the papers. Whatever she did from now on was no longer my concern. No matter where you end up, keep working hard. Make us proud, my boss said, respecting my decision. As I left the building, I pulled out my phone. Looking at the long list of missed calls from Chloe, I just felt exhausted. Just as I was about to turn it off, a new text came through. It was from Chloe. Liam's mother is feeling a little down, so I'm going to stay with her tonight. I won't be home. I raised an eyebrow. How novel. The first time she'd ever bothered to let me know she wasn't coming home. I opened iMessage and replied with a single letter, K. My phone started ringing a second later. I declined the call and sneered. So now she was in a hurry? I was just giving her a taste of her own medicine, and she couldn't take it. I scrolled through our message history. Her most common reply to me was that single letter. But she hadn't always been like this. She used to love sharing her day with me, telling me what she was planning to cook for dinner, or gossiping about her coworkers. She used to talk about all the beautiful places we would travel to together. I could feel her excitement in every message, and I always replied with the same enthusiasm. I loved the feeling of being needed, of being important to someone. But somewhere along the line, her desire to share just vanished. So I started being the one to reach out first. I learned to cook her favorite foods. I asked about her day. I told her about mine. I shared every piece of good news with her. But most of my messages went unanswered. And when she did reply, it was always with a cold, dismissive K. Eventually, I stopped trying. Not because I didn't want to talk to her, but because I was tired. Every time I saw that one letter, a wave of exhaustion washed over me. In 8 years of marriage, we had gone from passionate lovers to strangers. Most of our conversations weren't about connecting, but about our endless conflicts. It seemed like any little thing could set off another fight. I tried to figure out what went wrong. I tried to fix things between us. While my mother was still alive, she always encouraged me to keep trying with Chloe. And I did. I really, truly did. But I couldn't see any hope, and I was just so tired. When I got home that night, Chloe immediately stood up from the couch. Honey, Liam's mother is feeling much better. They're both heading home tomorrow. Okay, I replied flatly, turning to go to my room. Suddenly, she rushed over and grabbed my arm, looking up at me with pleading eyes. Honey, I know I was wrong. Please don't leave me, okay? I looked at her, surprised. In our entire marriage, she had always been the dominant one. Even when she knew she was wrong, she would never admit it, let alone apologize. If she had done this in the past, I might have forgiven her. But now it was too late. It was all too late. I didn't need her apology. When I didn't respond, she grew flustered. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have left during your mother's funeral to help Liam. I'll go to the cemetery tomorrow and apologize to her in person, okay? I'll cut off all contact with Liam. I'll stay by your side always. We can go shopping, travel, cook together. There's no need for that, I said. I cut her off coldly. Don't you think it's a little ridiculous to be saying all this now? Her expression froze, and her eyes filled with a profound guilt. So she had known all this time that what she was doing was wrong. She knew what I had wanted from her. She just couldn't be bothered to give it. Or rather, she just didn't care. I didn't waste any more time talking to her. I went into the spare room and started packing my things. Chloe followed me in. Seeing me packing, she grew nervous. Where are you going? Just taking a trip, I said vaguely. This time, she didn't argue. Instead, she looked at me with pleading eyes. Can you not go? I didn't answer. She seemed to take my silence as a sign of hope and stepped forward, her voice filled with excitement. Honey, I know. I'm still going, I said, shattering her illusion. I wasn't going to sacrifice my own well-being for her feelings anymore. Her smile froze, and the light in her eyes died. After a long silence, she asked in a hoarse voice, When are you leaving? In a couple of days. Then, will you go with me to see Mom? She asked immediately. I shook my head. Before she could say more, I cut her off. If that's all, please leave. I have to finish packing. Chloe opened her mouth as if to say something, but then closed it, turned, and walked out. Late that night, she sent me a file. It was filled with her iMessage history with Liam. Looking at the obviously edited conversations, I couldn't help but sneer. What was she trying to prove with this pathetic performance? That they were innocent? That she hadn't betrayed me? She had a wedding with another man. If that wasn't betrayal, what was? Did she need me to catch them in bed? The next morning, I walked out of my room to find Chloe sitting on the couch, dressed in a black dress with a white flower pinned to her chest. When she saw me, she stood up, a bright smile on her face. Honey, let's go. Let's go see Mom together. I shook my head. I already told you, I'm not going with you. I have to go to the office. But she blocked my path. I already called the office for you. You have the day off. Please, just come with me. Seeing the desperation in her eyes, I sighed internally. I knew she wouldn't let it go if I refused. It was better to just get it over with. Fine, let's go. We arrived at the cemetery, and the moment she stepped out of the car, her phone started ringing. She glanced at the screen and quickly declined the call, a guilty look on her face. I didn't need to guess who it was, but I didn't say anything. The caller was persistent, though. Her phone rang nonstop as we walked the short distance to the grave. The sound was jarring in the quiet cemetery. I frowned and stopped walking. Just answer it. It's annoying. Chloe hesitated for a moment before finally picking up. As if to prove something to me, she didn't walk away. She even put the call on speaker. Liam's anxious voice filled the air. Chloe, you have to come back. My mom refuses to leave until she sees you. I'm worried she's going to make herself sick. Please, you have to come back. A flicker of worry crossed Chloe's face, but when she saw me looking, her voice turned cold and firm. If it's an emergency, call an ambulance. I'm busy. There was a pause on the other end, then Liam's voice, pleading. Please, Chloe. She only wants to see you. Just this one last time, please. Chloe didn't answer, her eyes filled with conflict. I knew she was making a choice. I didn't say a word to try and sway her. I just stood there, waiting. After a moment of silence, she turned to me. Honey, just wait here for me. I'll be right back. I gave a small smile. Okay. It was exactly what I had expected. There was no reason to be disappointed. After Chloe left, I walked to my mother's grave alone. I stood there for a long time just looking at her picture on the headstone. The sky grew dark. I checked the time. 5 hours had passed. Chloe hadn't returned. She hadn't even called. I took a deep breath, knelt before her grave, and bowed my head 3 times. Then I stood up. Mom, I'm leaving now. I'll come back to visit you every year on your anniversary. When I got home, Aunt Sarah called. I forced myself to sound cheerful as I answered. Ethan, it's me, she said, her voice warm. All your paperwork is taken care of. When do you want to come out? I can book your flight. I sat on the edge of the bed and took a deep breath. I want to leave tomorrow morning. I couldn't stand to be in this city for another minute. But the divorce wasn't finalized yet. Leaving now would only complicate things. Let's make it the day after tomorrow in the evening, I said instead. The divorce will be finalized by then. I just need to pack. Okay, I'll book you a flight for 7 p.m. the day after tomorrow. Just bring your ID and passport to the airport to get your ticket. For the next day and a half, Chloe didn't come home. I spent my last day in that house in silence. My flight was at 7 p.m. Once I got on that plane, I was never coming back. I was up before dawn. I gathered all of my personal belongings and donated them to a local charity. Everything went, including the mementos from my years with Chloe, even the small token I had given her when we first met. I didn't even keep the custom wedding ring Chloe had given me. Anything of value I donated. Anything that wasn't, I burned. If I was going to start over, I needed a clean break. I wouldn't take a single thing from my past life with me. By the time I was finished, it was already afternoon. I checked my phone. 3 p.m. For hours until my flight. I was about to change and head to the airport when Jessica appeared and blocked my way. Ethan, what are you still doing here? Come on, you need to get ready. Get ready for what? I asked, frowning. Don't play dumb with me, she snapped. Isn't it your and Chloe's anniversary today? Chloe said that when you two got married, her parents didn't approve, so you never had a real wedding, you just went to the courthouse. She's always regretted that. And with everything that's happened with Liam recently, she feels like she owes you. So, for your 8th anniversary, she's planned a surprise wedding ceremony for you. It was a lie. It had to be. This was definitely a trap. We had been married for 8 years, and she had never once mentioned wanting a wedding. Even her fake wedding with Liam had been more of a celebration than ours. Was this another attempt to win me back? What, you don't believe me? Jessica sneered, her eyes filled with disdain. Then call her and ask. You think I want to be here talking to you? If Chloe hadn't promised me a job for doing this, I wouldn't have bothered. I didn't believe her, and I had no intention of calling Chloe. Seeing me standing there unresponsive, Jessica lost her patience. She dialed Chloe's number herself and shoved the phone into my hand. Honey, Chloe's voice came through the speaker. I know you've been through a lot lately. Let me make it up to you today. Everything is arranged. Just go with Jessica and get changed. I'll see you at the wedding. I frowned. What was she planning? What was her endgame? I was sure it was all a lie. And yet, the moment I put on the custom-tailored suit Chloe had ordered for me, my resolve wavered. That's just how people are. You know something is impossible, but you can't help but hope. What if this time it was real? I had been losing for so long. Maybe it was finally my turn to win. I decided to go. There was still time before my flight. With the desperation of a gambler, I went to attend this one in a million wedding. I was dressed by 4 and at the venue by 5. I pushed open the doors to the banquet hall, and a bucket of ice-cold water fell on me from above. The hall erupted in laughter. Behind me, Jessica was laughing so hard she was crying. You idiot, Ethan. Did you really think Chloe was throwing a wedding for you? You moron. Today is Liam's birthday. This isn't your dream wedding. It's his birthday party. The hall was filled with people, all of them presumably there for Liam's birthday. Liam was there too, wearing a suit identical to mine, except his was perfectly dry, crisp, and immaculate. This suit was actually made for Liam, Jessica taunted. Looks good, doesn't it? Chloe was planning on having their real wedding ceremony today. Ethan, Chloe, and Liam are the ones who are really in love. You're just the fool who got in their way. If you have any dignity left, you'll leave on your own. It'll be much more embarrassing if we have to throw you out. I wiped the water from my face, a profound sadness washing over me. Ethan, you really are a fool. After being played by fate so many times, how could you fall for it again? You knew it was a lie, but you came anyway. What were you trying to prove? Just how pathetic you really are. I turned and walked out of that suffocating room. I hailed a cab and told the driver to get me to the airport as fast as he could. The first thing I did when I got there was run to the restroom and start tearing off the suit. I had to get it off. All of it. The suit felt tight, constricting, couldn't breathe. This whole suffocating life was choking me. Finally, with a frantic rip, the suit and shirt tore apart. I left the ruined clothes on the floor of the grimy airport bathroom and pulled a black jacket from my bag. My phone was vibrating nonstop. I pulled it out and saw dozens of missed calls from Chloe. It looked like she'd been calling me ever since I got in the cab. There were over 30 of them. I hadn't heard a single one. The phone was still buzzing. Another call from Chloe. I ejected the SIM card, snapped it in two, and threw it in the trash. It was almost 7. I got my ticket, went through security, and boarded the plane. Just before takeoff, I deleted all of my social media accounts. A flight attendant came by and asked me to turn off my phone. I smiled and nodded. The screen went dark just as the plane began to accelerate down the runway. I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes. I'm not going to say goodbye, Chloe, because I hope we never meet again. After I had gone, Chloe entered the hall in a wedding gown, carrying a large bouquet of roses. Jessica, why are you the only one here? Where's Ethan? She asked, confused. I told you to bring him here. Jessica was clearly guilty, her eyes darting around, unable to meet Chloe's gaze. But her words were still sharp. He left. He was tired of you paying all your attention to Liam, so he just walked out. He just walked out? Chloe was stunned. Impossible, she muttered. He wanted this wedding more than anything. Why would he just leave? She thought she knew me. She thought that even though I'd been distant since my mother's death, deep down, I still loved her. In 8 years, I had never once contradicted her, never questioned her decisions. No matter how cruel she was, I always silently endured it. Just a few days ago, she had forced me to drink that poison, and I had acted as if nothing had happened. She had probably felt a little guilty afterwards, thought she had gone too far. But it didn't matter. My solution was always just to get away for a bit, right? She probably thought the surprise wedding on our anniversary would be the perfect way to make it up to me, to win me back. Just then, Chloe noticed the puddle of water on the floor. Her expression turned cold, her eyes glacial. What happened here? Tell me the truth. Jessica's bravado vanished. She shot a desperate, pleading look at Liam. Seeing her look, he walked over and gently took Chloe's hand. Chloe, it's my birthday. Can't you just focus on me today? Why worry about anything else? He was still wearing the suit. Chloe frowned. Why are you wearing that? Isn't that the suit I had made for Ethan? Liam's face fell, a look of pure devastation on his face. Chloe, you didn't have this suit made for me? Chloe snorted. Liam, I suggest you remember your place. I only went through with that ceremony to grant your mother her dying wish. You didn't actually think I would marry my junior assistant, did you? The color drained from Liam's face. He stammered, Chloe, what are you saying? I don't understand. You don't understand? Then let me spell it out for you, Chloe said. A cruel smile played on her lips. You're nothing but a social climber. Did you really think my pity meant I actually liked you? That's hilarious. You're not even in my league. Liam looked utterly defeated, shaking his head and muttering, No, that's not possible. You love me. Why else would you have brought me into your home? Why would you have forced your husband to drink that poison? You love me, right? Chloe said nothing. After a long moment, she looked up, her eyes filled with a cold fury. I was just amusing myself with you. Did you really think I was interested? I saw through you and your mother's little scheme from the very beginning. I was just playing along. I was going to use today to put you in your place, but it seems you got ahead of yourselves. With that, she turned from Liam's stricken face and fixed her glare on Jessica. What happened here? I want an explanation now. Jessica was terrified. She had never imagined that I was the one Chloe actually loved. All her scheming today had just backfired spectacularly. Chloe had only told her to bring me to the venue. The rest was all Jessica's idea. But when Liam showed up, she had assumed the anniversary and the wedding were all just a ruse. That's why she had orchestrated the whole humiliating prank. And the suit had been part of it. She thought Chloe had arranged it all to humiliate me. So while Chloe was getting into her wedding dress, Jessica had gone to the rental shop and demanded they give the second suit to Liam. She had been so proud of herself, so sure that Chloe would be pleased with her initiative. But instead, she was met with Chloe's fury. Jessica, I won't ask again. What did you do? Chloe's voice was dangerously low. Where is Ethan? Jessica stammered, her head down, desperately trying to think of an excuse. But before she could, Chloe's voice cut through the air, cold as ice. You'd better tell me the truth. Don't make me check the security cameras. At the mention of the cameras, Jessica's resolve crumbled. The cameras would show everything. It was better to confess now and try to spin it. So she told Chloe what she had done. Chloe, I don't know who would be so cruel as to put a bucket of water over the door. Ethan must have been humiliated, so he left. I tried to stop him. I really did, but I couldn't. Chloe gritted her teeth, shooting Jessica a look that could kill. When I find Ethan, you and I are going to have a talk. She pulled out her phone and dialed my number. She thought I was just throwing a tantrum, that all it would take was a few sweet words and an apology, and I would come running back to her all forgiven. But to her disbelief, call after call went unanswered. Maybe I didn't have my phone with me? Even now, the thought that she might actually lose me hadn't crossed her mind. For 8 years, I had been at her beck and call. No matter what she did, I never left. She knew she had gone too far this time, but surely it wasn't unforgivable. She immediately called the hotel manager and ordered him to send his staff out to find me. You have 1 hour. Find him. Jessica, eager to get back in her good graces, volunteered to help with the search. She wasn't being helpful. She was afraid I would tell Chloe what she'd done, so she wanted to find me first, to threaten me into silence. But an hour passed, and there was no sign of me. Chloe was furious, but it did no good. The sky grew dark, and I was still nowhere to be found. Desperate, Chloe started calling friends and family, all while sending me a constant barrage of texts. Honey, where are you? Please, just let me know you're safe. I know you misunderstood. There's a reason for everything. Let me explain it to you in person. At first, her messages were patient, pleading. But after a night of silence, her patience wore thin. Ethan, have you made your point? Stop being childish. I know you're hiding somewhere nearby, doing this on purpose. I'm giving you 1 hour. Come and see me now. If you don't, you can forget about me ever forgiving you. After sending the text, Chloe was sure I would come running back, begging for her forgiveness. The thought calmed her down considerably. She called off the search and strolled back into the banquet hall. Liam was still standing there. Chloe sneered. You're still here? What? Were you hoping to attend my wedding? At her words, Liam burst out laughing, a twisted, manic sound. Ha ha ha. Chloe, you don't actually think he's coming back, do you? Of course he is, Chloe said confidently. He loves me. No matter what I do, he always forgives me. He's the only man in the world who loves me that much. Liam's laughter grew louder, more unhinged. Chloe, I never knew you could be so stupid. No man, no matter how patient, would tolerate his wife moving another man into his home, especially when their relationship is so suspicious. Why do you think Ethan was so accommodating? Why didn't he care when I moved in? Ha ha ha. It's because he doesn't love you anymore. Because he doesn't love you, he doesn't care. Chloe's face went rigid with fury. Shut up, she snarled. Don't you dare act like you know anything about us. A homewrecker like you wouldn't know the first thing about real love. She called for security to restrain him, but Liam just kept laughing. If you know him so well, then tell me, where did he go? What does he like? When is his birthday? Do you even know? Chloe froze. She couldn't answer a single question. I knew everything about her, but she knew nothing about me. Ha 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 ha. Is that what you call true love? Pathetic. Liam spat. I have to hand it to Ethan. I don't know how he put up with you for 8 years. I would have been gone long ago. Shut up, Chloe screamed, slapping him hard across the face. A red handprint bloomed on his cheek, but he just kept laughing. You just wait. Ethan is never coming back. You could wait until the day you die, and he will never come back. Chloe was shaking with rage. She kicked him. Shut up, you disgusting homewrecker. Don't you dare project your filthy thoughts onto Ethan. He will come back. He loves me more than anyone in the world. What would a parasite like you know about love? She started kicking him wildly, and if the hotel manager hadn't returned and pulled her off, she might have seriously hurt him. After Liam was taken away in an ambulance, Chloe collapsed onto the floor, staring at her phone. It's been so long, she whispered. Why aren't you back yet? The hotel manager sighed. Ma'am, I was able to find out some information about your husband. Chloe's head snapped up. Where is he? Did you find him? The manager shook his head, looking uncomfortable. No. But I did find out that this morning, he donated all of his belongings to charity, including his wedding ring. Chloe froze. In that instant, it was as if her soul had left her body. What did you say? After a long, stunned silence, she finally found her voice. What do you mean, he donated everything? The manager looked down, saying nothing. I'm talking to you, Chloe screamed, grabbing his arm. Who gave him permission to do that? Why didn't anyone stop him? Go find him. Bring him back. She was hysterical. In that moment, she finally understood. I was really gone. For the next several months, Chloe searched for me relentlessly. She went to my hometown, she talked to my old teachers, my childhood friends, our old neighbors. She tracked down everyone who had ever known me, desperate for any clue to my whereabouts. And in the process, she finally began to learn about the man she had married. She learned that my endless patience with her hadn't been born of love, but of a sense of duty. Liam had been right. She didn't know the first thing about love. She searched for me all over the country, but found nothing. A terrible fear began to grow in her heart. What if something had happened to me? Why else would I have vanished without a trace? I had donated everything of value and burned the rest. I had left nothing behind. The thought made her heart ache so much she could barely breathe. The house had once been filled with me. Now it was empty. There was nothing left for her to even look at to remember me by. Ethan, how could you be so cruel? She whispered through her tears. But I can't even blame you. I did this to myself. During her search, my relatives had treated her with nothing but contempt. Only then did she begin to understand the true depths of her cruelty. She had brought another man into our home and made me prepare a room for him. She had been a terrible wife. Thinking of all the monstrous things she had done, she broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Liam was right. She deserved this. Meanwhile, I had no idea that Chloe was searching for me. I had thrown out my SIM card and deleted all my social media. I never received a single one of her messages. And I didn't want to. My past life felt like a nightmare I had finally woken up from. Now that I was free, I wanted nothing to do with that life. I had left the city I knew, flown thousands of miles, all for a fresh start. I was leaving it all behind, and Chloe was part of what I was leaving. Ethan, didn't you major in art in college? Aunt Sarah asked me over dinner one night. I've seen you out sketching lately, and your uncle and I just love the paintings you've been doing. Your uncle thinks it's a shame to let your talent go to waste. He was thinking he could fund a gallery show for you. What do you think? A gallery show? My eyes widened in surprise, but the spark of excitement in them gave away how much the idea thrilled me. For an artist, a show is the ultimate validation, a chance to share your work with the world. But a show like that would be so expensive, I said, frowning with worry. It would cost a fortune, wouldn't it? That's the easy part, my aunt said, cutting me off. It's my fault. I should have reached out to your mother sooner. I never even got to say goodbye. Her eyes started to well up with tears. She told me stories about the hardships she and my mother had faced when they were young. Your mother gave up her chance to go to college so that I could have a better life, she said. So Ethan, don't you ever feel like you're a burden? You're my son now. I would give you anything. A gallery show is nothing. Her words filled me with a warmth I hadn't felt in years. In that case, I said, taking a deep breath, I would love to have a show, but I can't let you and Uncle pay for it. Let me borrow the money from you. After the show, when I've sold some paintings, I'll pay you back. My aunt smiled, her eyes crinkling at the corners. Now that's the spirit. Your work is incredible, Ethan, my uncle added. It's going to be a huge success. I have faith in you. With their help, the show came together quickly. At first, I was worried no one would come. After all, I was a complete unknown. After college, I had worked for Chloe's family business. I had no name, no reputation, either in New York or here in Los Angeles. How could a show by someone like me possibly succeed? In the beginning, I was so anxious I could barely sleep, but I had seriously underestimated my aunt and uncle's connections. The opening night was a huge event, packed with influential people from the LA art scene. The guests were all wealthy and influential, and several of my pieces sold for high prices right at the start. Ethan, come say hello, my aunt said, gesturing towards a young woman in an elegant red dress. That's Olivia Hayes. Her father is a jewelry tycoon. She just bought 5 of your paintings. She mouthed the number to me. $300,000. Each. $300,000? I was floored. I never would have dreamed my work could sell for that much. This woman, Olivia Hayes, had just spent $1.5 million on my work. The least I could do was go and thank her. I followed my aunt over to where she was standing. Olivia, it's been too long, my aunt said warmly. It was clear they knew each other. I'm surprised a busy woman like you had time to come out and support my nephew. Olivia smiled. I had the day off, Sarah. This is my nephew, Ethan, my aunt said, introducing me. He's a very gifted artist. All the work you see here tonight is his. I gave a modest smile. Aunt Sarah, you're embarrassing me. I just paint for fun. Well, they're wonderful, Olivia said with a smile. She turned to a landscape painting on the wall beside her. This one especially. Even with the warm color palette, there's a sense of loneliness to it. It's very moving. I was surprised. I hadn't expected her to understand my work so intuitively. Most of my paintings were like that, vibrant colors masking a deep sense of isolation. So many people moving through the world, each one locked away in their own heart. They say an artist's work is a reflection of their state of mind, Olivia said, turning her gaze on me. You're so young and talented, and so handsome. Why is there so much sadness in your work? She had beautiful eyes. The way she looked at me, it felt like she could see right through me, into my soul. I looked away. I've also heard that people are drawn to art that resonates with their own emotions. You're so young and successful yourself, Ms. Hayes. Why would my work resonate with you? I didn't want to be read so easily by a stranger, so I turned the question back on her. I expected her to be offended. A woman of her status wasn't used to being questioned. But to my surprise, she just smiled. Thank you for the compliment, Mr. Chun. I was taken aback. I didn't compliment you, I blurted out before I could stop myself. She laughed. You have a short memory. Didn't you just say I was young and successful? I was speechless. I had assumed an heiress like her would be cold and aloof, but she had a great sense of humor. Well, in that case, I guess I should thank you for calling me handsome, I said with a laugh. She smiled back. You have a beautiful smile. Her directness made me blush. You're just being nice. I've been smiling this whole time. I had been, a polite, professional smile plastered on my face since I walked over. I didn't have much experience with high society, but I knew that much. That was a polite smile, she said, her own smile warm and genuine. This is a real one. Something stirred inside me. It was strange. We had only just met, yet it felt like she could see right through me. Felt like we had known each other for years. You should smile like that more often, she said. It suits you. When she complimented you, she looked you right in the eye, and you knew she meant it. I smiled, a real smile this time. You're very beautiful too, I said, and it was then that I realized my aunt was gone. Where had she gone? She had been the one to bring me over here. How had she vanished so quickly? You're a little slow on the uptake, aren't you? Olivia said, laughing at my confusion. She stepped closer, looking up at me with sparkling eyes. Or maybe you were so focused on me you didn't notice anyone else? Her boldness made my face flush. I was looking for my aunt, I stammered. I was just then, a waiter passed by with a tray of hors d'oeuvres. I grabbed one gratefully. I was just looking for these. Olivia laughed. You're really something else, Ethan Chun. From a distance, my aunt watched us, a satisfied smile on her face. I knew our Ethan was a charmer, she said to my uncle, pleased. He's already won over the Hayes girl. She seems like a wonderful young woman, my uncle agreed. But Ethan is so reserved, so serious. It's not healthy. I'm going to have a talk with him tonight, my aunt continued. He needs to loosen up, learn to enjoy life, enjoy being in love. My uncle just shook his head with a smile. Just don't be a bad influence on him. Oh, hush, my aunt said, swatting his arm playfully. The show was a huge success. I sold 35 of the 40 paintings. Most sold for between $10,000 and $50,000. Olivia's, of course, had gone for $300,000 each. She paid 10 times what everyone else did for your work, my aunt said later that night as we were going over the sales. Ethan, I think she might be interested in you. Don't be ridiculous, I said, my mind still on the numbers. She's just friendly. People are more open here. My aunt's eyes widened. Are you kidding? Olivia Hayes is known for being an ice queen. She's incredibly private. She never talks to men she doesn't know, and she always goes to events alone. I finally looked up from the ledger. Then why did she? I trailed off, realizing what I was about to say. Why had she been so friendly with me? My aunt knew what I was thinking. Why did she what? Did she tell you she liked you? I felt my face flush and quickly changed the subject. Aunt Sarah, the catering for the show was so expensive. Over $10,000 for one night. It was a Michelin-starred caterer, of course it was expensive, she said dismissively, returning to her original topic. I'm telling you, Olivia is definitely interested in you. She'll probably ask you out soon. You have to say yes. You're young and handsome. You should be out there having fun, enjoying being in love. Don't rush into marriage. I don't want to see you get hurt by the wrong woman again. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Just dating and not getting married? Isn't that just playing games? That's how people think back home. Here, people value their freedom, she said. Then she paused. I'm not saying you should never get married. If you fall in love and it naturally leads to marriage, that's wonderful. I just mean that marriage isn't an obligation. You don't have to date someone with the goal of marrying them. You're still young. You should be enjoying yourself. Don't let one bad marriage close you off to love forever. Just do what makes you happy. I'll always be here for you. I knew she was just worried about me, cooped up in the house all day. She was just trying to get me to open up again. I smiled and nodded. Okay, so if Olivia asks you out, you'll say yes? She asked, a sly look in her eye. I nodded, not realizing I was walking right into a trap. That's wonderful, she exclaimed, beaming. Olivia just texted me. She wants to invite you to a party, and I told her you'd love to go. You set me up, I cried. The show was a huge success, and with all the media attention it received, I was featured in the arts section of several major publications. One reporter even called me the art world's newest rising star. My aunt was thrilled. They're absolutely right. Our Ethan is a star. Every one of his paintings is just filled with so much soul. I didn't know whether to laugh or cringe, but that was just how my aunt was. She had adopted the American style of parenting, endless, unconditional praise. Even if a child did something wrong, you were supposed to praise their honesty before you corrected their behavior. Having lived in the States for so long, my aunt had fully embraced this philosophy. No matter what I did, she would praise me to the heavens. I could make a simple pasta dish and she would act like I was a Michelin-starred chef. But I had to admit, her constant praise was good for me. For so many years, I had been constantly put down. My mother had loved me, of course, but the stress of her illness and my failing marriage had drained me completely. I had never experienced such unconditional support. In all my years of marriage, Chloe's family had never once accepted me. Living in that constantly oppressive environment had made me withdrawn and insecure. But my aunt's praise was helping me to rebuild my confidence. It was like a ray of sunshine breaking through a dark and stormy sky, illuminating a world I had forgotten existed. I was starting to realize that maybe I wasn't so worthless after all, that I was worthy of praise. Here, there were women who admired me, who treated me with a respect Chloe never had. They respected me. They praised my work and my dedication. I was starting to see that I had good qualities, qualities I had forgotten I possessed. I had been in that oppressive environment for so long I had started to believe I was worthless. But now I was finally free, and I was surrounded by people who loved me. My show had been a local sensation, and I had been featured in the arts section of the Los Angeles Times. But it was all local news. I wasn't worried about Chloe seeing it and finding me. She had never cared about art. She always said artists were useless, and that art was just overpriced junk for rich idiots. I even thought to myself with a bitter laugh that even if she did see it, it wouldn't matter. She was probably with Liam now. She wouldn't care where I was. But I was wrong. In the months since my disappearance, Chloe had been searching for me frantically, even neglecting her company. Her search for me had become an obsession. No one could reason with her. She didn't care about anything else. She just wanted to see me one more time. She had always hated art, especially painters. But after she learned that I had been an art major in college, her aversion had softened. She even started following art news so that when she found me, she could show me how she had tried to get closer to me, to love the things I loved. Ethan, she would write in her journal every night. Today is the 173rd day since you left. Where are you? I miss you so much. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I know I was wrong. Please, can you forgive me? She sent messages like this to my old number every day, but they all went unanswered. Chloe was on the verge of a breakdown. Sometimes she wondered if I was even still alive, if she would ever see me again. Had she really thrown away the only person who had ever truly loved her? Just when she was about to lose her mind, she saw an article in an international publication. And there she saw my picture. I was standing next to one of my paintings, smiling a relaxed, easy smile. In that instant, Chloe's entire body went rigid. She stared at the picture, afraid to even blink, as if I might vanish if she did. "Get me my assistant," she yelled. Her voice was shaking with excitement. "I want every piece of information you can find on this art show. Now!" Her team was efficient. In less than an hour, she had the name of the gallery, its address, and the name of the show's organizer. "The show was organized by a Mr. Evans," her assistant reported. "But we believe Evans is just an alias for your husband, Ethan. Is his middle name. We can confirm he is in Los Angeles." After all this time, she finally had a lead. Chloe was so overwhelmed with relief she almost started crying. Without a moment's hesitation, she booked the next flight to Los Angeles. This time, she wouldn't let me go. The moment she landed, she went straight to the gallery and started asking around the neighborhood. Finally, just before nightfall, she found my address. She rushed over, expecting to find me in some modest apartment. Instead, she found herself standing in front of a sprawling mansion in Beverly Hills. A house like this in this neighborhood had to be worth tens of millions of dollars. How could I possibly be living here? She frowned. Had she been given the wrong address? Despite her doubts, she walked up to the front door and knocked. My Aunt Sarah answered the door. She had never met Chloe, so she was perfectly polite. Hello, can I help you? I'm looking for Ethan Evans, Chloe said. I was told he lives here. Are you a friend of Ethan's? My aunt asked, her face breaking into a wide smile. That boy. When did he get such a beautiful girlfriend and not tell me? Hearing my name, Chloe finally relaxed. She didn't know how I had ended up in a mansion, but at least she was in the right place. I was here. She had finally found me. Is Ethan home? She asked anxiously. I need to see him. Can you please ask him to come out? Oh, what a shame. He's at a party tonight, my aunt said apologetically. What's your name? I can give him your number when he gets back. Chloe started to speak, then stopped herself. I was clearly avoiding her. If my aunt told me her name, I might just disappear again. That's all right, she said with a sad smile. If he's not here, I can wait. I really need to see him. Her refusal to give her name made my aunt suspicious. Was she some kind of stalker? You heard stories about crazy fans all the time. It was better to be safe than sorry. So my aunt didn't invite her in. Instead, she closed the door, snapped a quick picture of her through the window, and sent it to me. Ethan, this woman just showed up at the house looking for you. Do you know her? I was in the middle of dinner with Olivia when the text came through. When I saw the picture, the smile froze on my face. Chloe, how had she found me here? What is it, Ethan? Olivia asked, noticing my expression. You look like you've seen a ghost. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to remain calm. I gave Olivia an apologetic smile. I'm so sorry. Something's come up at home. I have to go. I had known this day would come eventually. I couldn't hide forever. Since she had found me, I would face her. I would make it clear once and for all that she was no longer a part of my life. Olivia wiped her mouth with her napkin and stood up. I'll come with you. No, that's okay, I said, shaking my head. I can handle this on my own. We weren't officially a couple yet, but we had been on enough dates that back home, we would have been considered to be in a serious relationship. I had no desire to witness a showdown between my past and my future. When I got home, Chloe was still standing outside the gate. The moment she saw me, her face lit up. Ethan, she ran to me and threw her arms around me, her voice thick with emotion. Oh, thank God. I finally found you. Do you have any idea how hard I've been looking for you? It's been 170 days, Ethan. You've been gone for 170 days. Tears were streaming down her face. 170 days. Less than 6 months, but for her, every second had felt like a year. She had never understood before, but in my absence, she had learned how slowly time passes when you miss someone. Ethan, don't leave me, she sobbed. Please don't ever leave me again. I was wrong. I shouldn't have brought Liam into our home. I shouldn't have treated you that way. None of it was real. I was just trying to help him. You're the one I love. It's always been you. Now that she had finally found me, the words came pouring out of her. She told me about the wedding she had planned, how it was supposed to be for us. I fired Jessica, she said. I told her to never speak to me again. After her long, rambling confession, she took my hand, her voice soft. I know I was a monster to you. I know I was wrong. I'm so sorry. Please, forgive me. Come home with me. We can start over. At that, I couldn't help it. I laughed. And in that moment, I realized I didn't care about her apology. I had loved her once, loved her with everything I had. And for what? There was a time I had hoped Chloe would face up to her mistakes. But I gave her everything. I even lost my mother while waiting for her, and she never apologized. Not once. Even when she seemed to realize she'd gone too far regarding my mother's funeral, she never offered a real apology. Now, here she was, finally saying the words I had once longed to hear. But I discovered I didn't care anymore. When she was finished, I gently pushed her away, my voice calm. Chloe, we're divorced. We can't go back. Whatever feelings I had for you were ground to dust by your daily betrayals and coldness. I stopped loving you a long time ago. Go home. I don't need you in the rest of my life. Those few simple words made Chloe completely break down. She became hysterical. No. I told you, I won't divorce you. You tricked me into signing those papers. I didn't even read them. They're not valid. We're still married. You can't leave me. She was like a madwoman, clinging to me and screaming. I shoved her away, but she grabbed something heavy and struck me hard from behind. The world spun around me, and Chloe took the opportunity to start dragging me toward her car. In the nick of time, I heard the sound of running feet, and someone shoved Chloe hard, sending her to the ground. I looked up and saw Olivia panting. Olivia, what are you? Olivia rushed to help me up. You looked so pale when you left. I was worried, so I followed you. Bitch! Chloe screamed, scrambling to her feet. Seeing us together, she was shaking with rage. You bitch! Get away from my husband. With a snarl, she lunged at Olivia. But Olivia was no pushover. She grabbed Chloe by the hair and sent her sprawling with a sharp slap. Ha! Didn't you hear him? He already divorced you. He has nothing to do with you anymore. Those words sent Chloe into a frenzy. She scrambled up and the two women started fighting. Ignoring my dizziness, I moved to pull them apart, but Chloe was blinded by rage and wouldn't let go. Finally, my uncle came out of the house. He yelled for them to stop, then grabbed Chloe and started slapping her across the face. My head throbbed. I didn't realize people took sides like this when breaking up a fight. My aunt stood on the porch, calmly watching and cheering her husband on. Get her! Hit the bitch! I was just so tired of it all. Chloe, for all her fury, was no match for a grown man and was soon on the ground, bruised and sobbing. Chloe, go home, I said, stopping my uncle. When I needed you, you were never there. I don't need you now. You don't have to be in my life anymore. But Chloe wasn't going to give up. She gritted her teeth and said, No, Ethan, it took me so long to find you, and I'm not leaving without you. I lost you once, so I'll just have to win you back. As long as you're not married, I will pursue you until you love me again. In the past, hearing her say that might have moved me. Now all I felt was disgust. Do whatever you want. With that, I turned and left with Olivia. True to her word, Chloe began a relentless campaign to win me back. She sent flowers daily, had expensive meals delivered, and sent countless gifts. But the flowers were never accepted, the gifts were always returned, and the food went straight into the trash. But still, she didn't give up. When gifts failed, she resorted to pity plays. She stood outside my gate on a cold, rainy night, shivering until